Mental health is not weakness, and in fact, it is a form of self-care. My name is Dr. Lindsay Kwok-Hugh, and I help ambitious Asian American women live the life that they truly want. And unfortunately, I have tons of experience when it comes to burnout. But let's be really honest, it is rarely talked about in the Asian American community, and when it is oftentimes dismissed. But today we're breaking that cycle, and we're going to get into why mental health matters, the myths that are holding us back, and how we can start having these conversations in absence of fear and shame. So let's get into it. So let's first start with why mental health is oftentimes dismissed in Asian communities. Have you ever heard one of these? Just put your head down and work. Don't make any waves. We didn't have therapy growing up, and we turned out just fine. And resting is for the lazy. Well, if you've ever heard something similar to that, you are not alone. And these are deep-rooted beliefs that are embedded in our community that have been passed on through generations, oftentimes from a sense of survival, not necessarily self-care, was the priority for those previous generations. And for many of our parents and grandparents, talking about their emotions, processing emotions was not even an option. For many of them, they were traveling from war-torn countries, escaping for better opportunity. They literally did not have any choice but to be resilient inside of a country that did not yet accept them, facing seemingly insurmountable challenges I cannot even imagine as a privileged generation. And because they pushed through without talking about their feelings, we were in turn taught to do the same exact thing. But here's the thing, we know now that stress, anxiety, and depression, those are things that don't just go away without addressing them. And what we know based on the science now is that the silence, holding it all right here, can actually make it worse. Look, mental health struggles are real. Asian American women in particular experience high levels of stress, anxiety, and perfectionism, often because of societal and cultural expectations that we have to show up for other people. And yet we as a community, as a collective, are the least likely to ask for help. And why is that? It's because we've been trained that asking for help is a form of weakness. We have been systematically trained to support others, to perform for others, to please others. And that can be incredibly draining. But let me tell you the truth. Taking care of your mental health is one of the strongest things that you can do. So how do we change this narrative that feelings don't matter? How do we make mental health as normal as taking care of your physical health? So let's talk about 3 different things: therapy, self-care, and how to actually have these conversations with the people you love the most. Take it from someone who has had a lot of therapy in the last couple of years. But if going to therapy feels a little bit too overwhelming, there are online resources, there are groups that might feel more culturally aligned that you can also get plugged into. There are a lot of low cost or even no cost options that you can hook up with in order to sort of help you learn to process your emotions. In many Asian communities in general, self-care is oftentimes seen as indulgent. We're very group over individual, right? But that can be very incredibly harmful to not take care of the individual, because self-care is not a luxury. It's all about your own self-preservation and sustainability. Self-care is about clearing your mind, taking yourself out of fight or flight, and making decisions from a place of steadiness, because what you're doing is taking everything that's percolating right here, you're processing it, and it's enabling you to now make better decisions from a place of neutrality, steadiness, being anchored, because you've taken the time to process everything that's happening right in here. And doing all of this enables you to now better show up for the people who you love, the people in your workplace, and you can take better care of them as a result of making decisions from a place of groundedness. I know talking to friends or family about mental health can sometimes feel like an impossible endeavor, but here's a tip. Maybe just don't do it. I'm serious. If it's going to put you in the line of fire, if it's going to sort of drain your energy, you having to explain or defend or do any of this sort of emotional labor, it's totally not worth it. Or you can try just starting small. You can say, instead of saying, I have to process all of these big emotions that are inside of my body and I have to release it, don't go to get into it. Maybe you can say something more to the effect of, I've been feeling really stressed lately and I'm trying to find different strategies to help me cope better. That might be a more accessible conversation that your friend or family member can grab onto. And by the way, if they don't understand you completely or at all, I want you to know that that is totally normal and it's absolutely okay. It's not a reflection of you and your inability to communicate. It's just a measure of where they are in the spectrum of mental health discussions. So you don't have to take on that responsibility and feel bad about that. So if you've ever hesitated to seek help, to talk about your mental health, to do something about it, let me tell you this. You are not alone. And it is totally normal for you to dip your toe into this conversation and for it to be totally uncomfortable. Because as an Asian American community member, we are not accustomed or trained to talk about this kind of stuff. But if someone has never said this to you, let me be the first person to say this to you. You deserve to feel supported, rested, have peace of mind, and have the opportunity to pursue the type of happiness that is authentic to you as an individual, untethered to the expectations of your Asian community. I want you to know that I really care about you, and I want to start normalizing these conversations in our community. So drop a comment below. Tell me one thing that you're going to do to support your own mental health this week. Let's share, support, and break this stigma together.